Bravo, we're there. We're live. There we go.
We're live.
Good evening,
We're
Matt.
on. Good evening, Gareth. We're being very formal and British.
We are very British.
Yeah.
I got a cup of
We're
something.
we're in character.
Bravo.
Yeah. Pip pip and all that.
Pip pip. Toodle pip.
Yeah.
Right,
I didn't have time to bring any scones or scones.
Oh, yeah. Don't offend anyone by saying it wrong.
Oh no. Which are you? Are you scone? I guess you're scone. No,
I say scones. Yeah, scones. Oh shit, I don't know.
I think I just wondered if it was a northern south divide. But
Scones.
who's this guy messaging and putting things up on the screen?
Yeah, it's just don't trust this guy. No, Al. He can find Britain on a map. Not on
I don't think it's on it. I don't think it's on any maps in America, is it? Surely.
No.
Oh wow, he's streaming. He's streaming us both simultaneously. This guy.
There we go. There's all our 2 viewers. Thank you, Al.
Both of our viewers are Al.
Oh, man. So yes,
this is exciting.
Yeah, Laurie Brewster has said he might pop on, so we shall see if he comes on. Who is the guy that's bringing back Amicus Productions? Yeah. So, good evening, Bob. Now, Bob, I'm sure knows Amicus Films because the Equalizer. I guess he wasn't in anyone. Oh, hi, Betty. Hi, Betty.
Hey, hi. Oh wow.
So yeah, what are we discussing tonight? Well,
I've got questions for you, Gareth. Have I got questions for you? But feel free to do whatever you want.
Well, let's show off our physical one before, just to see if
you go
just
first.
in
I
case
guess. Okay, she's got some good ones.
I
know. I'm really interested in your favorites, or just any
I
of
do
them.
Own my favorites, and I put them in a charity shop because I'll be honest, I didn't know who Amicus was until 5 years ago or more.
Yeah, I'm probably roughly the same actually.
I always assumed 70s British horror was always Hammer, but because they shared directors, they shared actors and everything, so they were very similar. So what have I got? I got a VHS of Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Oh, of course, yes, they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, this is some of the other things we don't know about them. I found out.
Do you remember when I can't believe he got married to Whoopi Goldberg? Yeah, and she's now called Whoopi Cushing. Oh dear.
And we're done.
Good night, everybody.
The jokes are not helping.
Matthew has left the chat.
I think he's breaking up. I'm gonna have to kick him off. Hello, man. Happy Thursday.
Hey,
yes.
Man.
Happy pre-Friday the 13th, everyone.
Oh yeah.
Right. What's the next one?
The
house. The dripped up. The house that dripped blood, I should say. And it does say,
that's a good one.
Amicus,
is a good one.
The studio that dripped blood. So these are recent releases.
Yeah. There's not a lot of blood dripping in that, if I can remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what's only a 12.
Yeah. It's the house that didn't really drip blood.
There is lots of cleavage, as is the 70s.
Oh.
And finally, my favorite. I do own my favorite one. The Beast Must Die.
Now, I need to have a rewatch of this because I don't think I was in the right frame of mind when I saw it, and I dismissed it out of hand, and I shouldn't have done. I don't think.
But it's Who Done It or Who Werewolf It. But the thing I love the most is in the last 10 minutes, the 60 seconds recap, and then it tells you, can you guess who the killer is?
Yes, of course. It's almost like a William Castle. Everybody vote, or just let me close my door.
There's people loitering in the background. So, yes,
leaving it.
Ghosts.
Oh, greetings from New York.
He's showing off again.
In New York,
a scouse stealing in New York. He's at a Comic-Con, the bastard.
Oh wow. I guess that when you talk about The Beast Must Die, that's like a bit of an outlier because it isn't an anthology.
No, that's true.
And maybe that's why I was grumpy when I watched it, because I love the anthologies so much and really, really do. I don't know, it's an attention span thing, and I just like watching little bite-sized bits of horror. I do like those portmanteau films. I do like the way they all come together. And yeah, and I think they're getting popular again massively now. I think they're becoming they're having a bit of a resurgence. I know with the VHS ones, which I haven't seen any of them. I'm not a big fan of like almost like forced nostalgia, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know if other people have seen them, and they might tell me they're absolutely brilliant, and maybe I should check them out. I don't know. But how do you feel about anthology films? Do you have
well, I've got back into them
for
the old ones anyway. But Beast Mustache, Al knows. Oh, so I Monster is Bob's favorite. Yes, that's a rip. Well, is it a rip off or is it a reimagining of Dr. Jekyll? Isn't it?
So yeah, and I think again, everybody's going against my anthology. I'm mentioning like, no, I'm on board with Gareth. Team non-anthology.
Noster's got your back though.
Somebody like Pro Physical Media, our well friend, likes this one, which is probably my favorite as well.
I think it's most people's, if you mention.
Yeah, it's strange. I was doing a bit of sort of prep for this and discussing with somebody today, and I said, actually, you could even tie in like films like Puppet Master to this. There's elements of that in
there is elements of that.
Yeah, it's a strange one as well because like I'm not like a Robert Powell super fan or anything. It's just a strange person to have as the thread throughout the film.
Yeah.
It works. It works really well. I do enjoy pretty much all of it.
I think the robot was toy is a bit obvious that it can't actually get anywhere because it doesn't have any arms. The legs just barely move, but it does
just
manage
toppling along.
Yeah, get around the place quite quickly.
Yeah, they need like a little tricycle, like the Saw guy.
They did do something better than too weird. Yeah, it was, but it was pretty gross when it gets squished.
Yeah, that is weird. I think metal and blood and goo is a bit of a strange combination, and it is like a bit jarring. I quite like stuff like that though. It's just like weirdness.
Because the killer in it is it Wurzel Gummidge? No, the other guy. What's his? Not Wurzel Gummidge. He did another kids TV show in the 70s, but I can't remember. Yeah, that's the one.
John Pertwee.
No, the other. No, that's who was Wurzel Gummidge, but the actor in Asylum, who's the
in
killer.
Asylum. I mean, my mind's gone completely blank. Exactly. Even though I do love it. Honest, I've seen this film.
I'm sure.
Yeah, loads of times. No, but my mind's gone. Robert Powell, Herbert Lom's in it.
Pink Panther from Herbert Lom. Always fun.
Yeah, and Britt Eklund's in it as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
that's probably the weaker of the stories, if I remember. Not much happens in that, really.
No, because it's got what's her name? Not Stephanie Beacham, is it? No,
Charlotte Rampling.
Charlotte Rampling, yes. But yeah, it's all right. But it's a short one.
Yes, it needs to be that one. Yeah, because it's just a kind of filler, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess they've got a limited amount of budget, and the kind of the gooey robots probably the money went on that. Have you got any others there as well?
That's the only ones I got. I found because
now I want to show you that you might quite like. I have quite a few of these hidden away of different films because there seems to be no rhyme or reason. The Midnight Movies double feature with Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror on it.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah. I may have got it because it was a cheaper way of owning both of them. But then when I opened it up earlier on to check, I found inside Vampires. A copy of Vampires with a Y.
Or
Vampire.
The lady vampires.
Yeah, which I'm sure you've done, haven't you? Haven't you done that?
No, we're doing smut talk about 70s female vampires.
Maybe that's yeah.
With this gentleman.
You better clean that. You're supposed to clean those.
Yeah. They go off. But welcome, Rob, and welcome, Don. Look at those cool fellas. Playing down under. Welcome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to see another one?
Go on. What you got?
Oh, do you want to discuss?
Well, no, we'll go through
the Crypt and the Vaults of Horror.
Because everyone thinks Tales of the Crypt is the 80s horror anthology, but no, it was made in Britain first.
Yeah, and Joan Collins is in it.
Yeah, so that's the Christmas story one, isn't it? That's the first episode of the American series.
Yeah,
with the killer Santa.
It says prepare for a gruesomely spine-tingling and stomach-wrenching time. And that was Variety who said that. Wow.
Oh, praise from Caesar.
Yeah. Wow. We'll soon learn they're well-deserved and untimely and unavoidable deaths. Who are you to say that it is a well-deserved death? What a strange sentence.
Yeah.
You can imagine that on like a back of a saw. Like, well-deserved deaths.
Rob says, I don't know Amicus. What are some of their big titles? I was going to say, when I read it in the miniature, I thought, what are some of their big titties? But titles. Well,
exploitation reviews.
Asylum is probably there.
Yeah.
And Tales of the Crypt was probably the most famous ones.
Yeah, Vault. I think probably the Beast, according to a lot of people who are in the chat, I think the Beast Must Die.
Well, that is a popular one.
Yeah.
With its
it's one I came to later after the other ones. And one of my real super favorite ones, super amazing, smashing favorite ones, is Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Oh, the famous, yes,
which I get mixed up with the Steve Coogan Dr. Horrible.
Dr. Terrible, because and then there's
that
other one that's a musical, isn't there?
Oh yes, yeah, the Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
that's a Dr. Terrible's musical or something.
Oh, how confusing! Yeah,
I know.
We need to sort that out. I do like train-based horror. For some reason, thinking of like Horror Express, which I think is a brilliant film.
Yeah, I love that one.
So good. And this one's just like, obviously, he's just a strange guy on a train, and it has Roy Castle in it.
Yes, as a jazz player playing against type.
Voodoo. We got Voodoo. If you like Voodoo, if you do Voodoo,
it's good. Yeah, some of these are Bantu films. Okay.
Yeah.
Don read titties too with perverts. Sorry. Oh, and I read titties too. We're all need our glasses on.
That's it's unanimous.
I've seen the OG Tales from the Crypt, but I prefer the cartoony ones with the Crypt Keeper. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
That's fair comment. Yeah. And there's a cartoon of it, isn't there, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does the cartoon one, and then he does the really R-rated ones.
Yeah, because the cartoon one, you know how there's these really strange Pluto and different kind of nefarious ways of getting 24-hour channels where they just repeat everything over and over again. There was a 24-hour Tales from the Crypt cartoon channel that just popped up in my feed once. And I was like, there must only be about 6 episodes, so on repeat. Really weird.
Yeah, it's probably one of those that didn't go too. It's like, was it Mr. Ben? There's only like 12 episodes, but it felt like 3 years worth.
Is there really? No way. I used to love that.
It's very limited amount of episodes.
That's blown my mind because I would have probably not even realized.
Yes.
Just watch them going, this is a new episode, and it wasn't.
Well, it fooled me enough. When are we doing? When is Smut Talk? So, yes, we'll talk about lesbian vampire lovers on the Monday the 23rd with Rob and Jay. So we'll get back to there's there's about 3 Hammer ones, 2 Jess Franco ones. Scream and Scream Again was good. Yes.
Scream and Scream Again. Yeah, there's. I mean, when you break it down, I would say all like Torture Garden and all of them, they're all really, really good. And obviously, some are, like we mentioned about Asylum, there are weaker areas.
Yeah.
What's the Tales from the Crypt one with Dennis Miller, Bordello of Blood?
Yes, I do like that. I like Bordello of Blood, Diamond Knight. Was there a third?
Oh, there was. Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Drawing a blank. Yeah. The Collinson twins.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to Google that later. Right, Torture Garden. Yeah, I didn't get around to seeing Torture Garden.
There's a really nice release of it that is on my wish list, but sadly no one has bought it for me because if I don't buy it, no one will. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I've got another one that isn't an Amicus, but I think people haven't seen it a lot.
Okay.
It's a Freddie Francis one, so it has links to Hammer. And it's not a Hammer release, it's Lioness Service Company, whoever they are.
Exactly.
And it's a fabulous release. Again, don't know anything about them. And I think it may have been one of Kim Novak's last films. It's Tales That Witness Madness.
Does not ring a bell, but it looks. Oh, I recognize the picture from somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that would. It's got Joan Collins in it again, Jack Hawkins, Michael Jaston, Susie Kendall, Donald Pleasance.
Yes, he turned up in a few.
Yes. It says Donald Pleasance Halloween in brackets on the back, so this is relatively recent. Yeah. Oh, and inside of it is pretty much the whole film.
Oh, okay. If you've got time to read it.
Yeah, so if you don't want to watch the film, you can read it. What's better than reading a film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. You've got a whole thing set up for you. The third Tales was pretty bad. Was Steve Buscemi, I was saying. No, I'm drawing a blank. I mentioned it.
Yeah, there is definitely a third one, isn't there?
Nos was waiting for you to mention this film. There you go.
Tales from
Looks tasty. Hang on.
Crypt.
I'm going to add the Wikipedia page because I can't be bothered to do my own research.
There you go. Let's do that. I'm looking for the Tales from the Crypt third one.
Yeah, no, that's bothering me. There you go.
Night
Owl says it's a movie called Ritual. White Zombie ripoff. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've not seen that. Oh, no. I knew there was a third one.
I thought,
and I really liked Bordello of Blood. I thought Bordello of Blood was really. It was like peak Dennis Miller, where he was kind of someone who was a smart ass, and you kind of once you get past that, we're done with him. I think.
Yeah.
I was.
So they were based in Shepperton originally, and between 1962 and 1977, founded by two American producers and screenwriters, Milton. You want to say it?
Subotsky?
Yeah, and Max Rosenberg.
Yes, good. And the name comes from, is it the Latin for friends or pals or buddies?
That's what something like that. I mean, that's correct. It's not mentioned here, I don't think. But there is some very interesting early work. So, the City of the Dead they first worked on before making their own company, but then they started in low budget musicals. It's Trad Dad, which did quite well. Oh, there's a pop up there.
It's Trad Dad.
Directed by Richard Lester, who did Superman 2 and 3. So it feels singers, who I don't know. Chubby Checker, there you go, was one. So they released that, and that was quite well. Then they did Just for Fun, which is apparently had all the wrong musical acts at that time. It was too late. The Beatles were just on another record label. And
I have the LP from that film, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know it was a film. It doesn't look like a film. It just looks like a random selection of.
It is pretty much.
Yeah.
There is Jimmy Savile's in it as a DJ.
Fantastic! Yeah, I must go and burn that later.
Whether he speaks on the album, I don't know.
Oh, blimey! I've never listened to it, to be fair, so I can't confirm.
I'm sure there's music's very early '60s and fine, but yeah.
Yeah. I just got a job. A lot of really weird LPs from someone, and that was on it.
Nice.
You know when you get them and they have people's names written on them, like this LP belongs to.
Yeah. Who didn't do that? Oh, playing down hates the Beatles. There we go. And Mike the Reefer Beetle here.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this stream about exactly? Well, this is about Amicus Productions, who ran from, what did I say, 62 to 77, making horror films and then sci-fi and all sorts. Because if we get down, before they made the visual style, the same as Hammer, with some of the same actors. Because Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee were both in a lot of their films. Because this is what confused me. I always thought they were all stuck with Hammer films.
Yeah, I think people, certainly in America as well, I think that it's like, I love those old Hammer films. Probably is quite a broad, so a bit like us saying, "Oh, we like those Universal horror films," and it covers like a million different things. I would say I'm more up on this side of things, like the Amicus and Hammer, than I am on the Universal side of things. And I don't know whether that's a geographical reason or just they speak to me a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were. I remember definitely Hammer films being on all the time, and I don't remember seeing Universal movies being on at all.
Yeah, that's probably the reason. You know, the thing about I think about Amicus that's really cool, and I know I was talking to you before about Jed Shepard and saying how much he loved them. He said to me, like, the thing to remember about them is they were a powerhouse, but they were essentially run out of a shed. And like, you know, you've got Hammer run out of one studio, relatively big building, reusing a lot of everything, and you've got Amicus doing the same on an even smaller level, yet leading the world in horror, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, because they kept budgets to the bare minimum.
Yeah,
production teams. They had all the big actors like Don Pleasance, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing, but they only had them for 4 days at the most. So they were able to pay them well, but have them for a shorter time. So
yeah, and I guess that helps when you're doing those kind of films where you can split them up and have less of the person in it. So it's like a cost-effective way of making a movie. Do you know off the top of your head if the new Amicus, which I guess is the reason the new film is an anthology film?
It is.
Right, I thought it was. I just wasn't sure because I was so keen, and I kind of don't want to know too much about it. I was so keen, I just went, kickstarted it, put my money in, and I just was like, "Oh, a nice hat with the yellow Amicus label on it. I'll have one of those, thank you."
Are you saying Megan doesn't come to your house in it?
I'm not.
Right. So we'll get to that definitive list in a minute. So, so Al's going to teach us about Universals. He's old enough to remember the originals.
He remembers Bela Lugosi in person.
Right.
I'm sorry, Al. That was mean.
Yeah. So they did start off with 2 musicals. Then they did a Harold Pinter play directed by William Friedkin, of all people, in 1968 called The Birthday Party. A British drama neo-noir, so it sounds like a lot of fun. But it does have Robert Shaw in it. So
one of my where I used to live, my local pub was called the Robert Shaw. Because he was from West Horton near Bolton, and it was a Weatherspoons as well, but they they named it the Robert Shaw. I was always thinking, I wonder how many people who come here actually know who he is.
Well, yeah, probably not many people these days.
No, his son is doing a version of a stage play, isn't he? Yeah, where he plays his dad.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Yeah, he looks just like him, man. Especially with the sideburns and the hat.
Yes.
Oh man. I'm going to have to make the screen bigger so I can see what you're looking at.
Yeah, mine's tiny. Yeah, luckily I got the big version.
Did somebody say Pete Walker films there?
They did. That's when I missed it. There it goes.
Oh, right. Let me go and get mine.
What about Pete Best? Right, you go and get that while I... So, they released 7 Mantu. Oh, shit. Sorry, I clicked it. Blend Weird Lexical... Yeah. Whatever that says.
There's words there for sure.
There is what's the words, but yeah. So they made horror films. So Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, 1965. Torture Garden, 67. Yeah, that's one I didn't get time. But it's Freddie Francis. We've got Burgess Meredith, Jack Palance, Peter Cushing.
Oh yes, that is a
that's
weird one.
Yeah, the
I
House
do
That
like
Dripped
that.
Blood. So yeah, they were all directed by different people because this company like to because they keep them busy.
Yes,
and have someone different each time.
I think the House That Dripped Blood is okay, but it's not as exciting, I would say, as the first two. Tales from the Crypt, fair to middling. Asylum, amazing. Vault of Horror, I remember nothing of. So if anybody can tell me what Vault of Horror is like,
this one's got, if I control my mouse, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, of course, yeah, great mates, Denham Elliott, and John Pertwee. Oh yeah, that's the anthology where John Pertwee's a vampire.
Yes.
This house has different stories for each person.
I'm sure he was a lovely chap, but he definitely has a creepy quality to him. I mean, to be honest, Wurzel Gummidge had a creepy quality.
Yeah. I don't know what people find him cute. So Tales of Crypt 72 is Freddie Francis. So that's
mainly known for Hammer. So
yeah. So that's where I was knowing from. That's what again confused me. So Asylum. So that's directed by Roy Ward Baker.
Yes.
Because I think Robert Bloch wrote some of the script, some of his own short stories. He wrote Psycho.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was very late in the day. Robert Bloch. So, do you know we were talking? I can't remember who it was who mentioned about Pete Walker. What I would say is the big difference between, for me anyway, from Pete Walker films and Amicus is that Amicus is a lot less extreme than Pete Walker. I would say what Pete Walker does is a kind of still pretty wild and shocking now, whereas I wouldn't say there's anything that's wild and shocking in any Amicus films.
No.
Comforting and lovely, and spooky and creative and interesting, but they're not like not got the level of kind of cannibalism and insane sexual shenanigans of Pete Walker films.
Hang on, I'm going away for a minute. I'm thinking, watch those.
What thing that's?
Oh, hang on, there we go. So what is it?
Frightmare. We've got Frightmare, House of Whipcord, The Flesh and Blood Show, and my favourite of his with the beautiful Susan George, Die Screaming Marianne. Which is an incredible film.
How pleasant!
And she is stunningly beautiful in that film. And it's so strange because it's a kind of I've never seen a film like it because it's about a girl who is going to get an inheritance from her father, who is a big, horrible, slimy, corrupt judge. And her sister is trying to kill her off through very convoluted boyfriend type shenanigans,
as they do.
Yeah, and I think they've got to try. She's got to make it to 21 basically to get this money. Right. There's lots of ways of trying to kill her, related to like saunas and cars. And paying boyfriends, and the boyfriends are like long-haired hippie types and swinging London kind of guys. It's not like the Flesh and Blood Show or Frightmare. Frightmare is the most obscene one, I would say, in terms of like just gross stuff.
That post looks familiar, so yeah.
Yeah, you will have seen it. You will have seen it. The cannibal parents.
Yes.
Yeah. House of Whipcord is a bit like, I think it sits alongside those kind of sexy women of the SS kind of things.
Oh, right. Nice.
So that might be one for your sleazy.
Yeah, have to look that up.
Yeah.
Smut Talk. So Universal, Amicus, and Hammer, the three powerhouses of early horror that burnt out. Well, yes, everything.
Yeah.
Burns
what happened with the Universal Monsters comeback? Because I was completely out of the loop with that. I know there was Tom Cruise thing.
One? Oh, the Tom Cruise. Yeah, there was. That failed. Then the Invisible Man didn't get made, but now it's been made again by someone else, and then.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it died a death very quickly.
What a shame.
Yeah, because they had it all.
I say
set
that
up.
I haven't seen none of them. There might be.
The Mummy's not good. It rips
terrible.
off every other film. It rips off Life Force. It rips off. What's the other one? American Werewolf in London. It just rips off a lot of other stuff.
Okay.
So it's not. And the Mummy.
I think I own it. I was gonna watch it. All three are bloody brilliant.
Yeah, that's the Universal Amicus and Hammer. But yes.
Right.
And of course, the Scouser wants to know what football you support.
It's the mighty Stockport County shirt that I put on it because we're doing like I was saying to Gareth before, all British. Oh no, all British all the time. Tea and crumpets, beer out of a wine glass. Evening, I decided to be a football hooligan, to come as a football hooligan. So, rah.
So yeah, Mike's on his soapbox. You don't get someone as attractive as Susan George in modern horror films.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, she's stunning. She's definitely. I sort of contribute to a podcast sometimes, and when one of the things we did about like the most attractive women and most attractive men, we had to do both, and Susan George was like my number one.
Oh,
do you want to know who my male one was?
Yep.
In horror, it was. You can take a guess if you want.
Dennis Waterman.
Oh, so close. John Pertwee. We've got no. It was. It was Johnny Depp in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like, nobody can argue he's a good-looking chap. Was a good-looking chap. Now he's like Keith Richards. But
who wouldn't? Right. So yeah, Mike was hoping it was a local team.
Yeah, Stockport all the way.
Pugwell should get.
It's very expensive. It's on my list, but I got this for free.
Oh,
so off
a friend discount.
Of mine. Yeah, I've stole this one. So until it's in a place where I can steal it, no, I'm not getting that set. However, I would like to have it. Does anyone know if the 88 Films one has anything different from those four in it? If it has another one, I might do it.
Ooh, might be tempted.
Yeah, it's just they're super expensive, these big box sets.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Especially, I'm not a rich man.
That's why
Noddy Holder.
It does look. I did think that when you first.
It does look like Noddy Holder, doesn't it? Look, yeah.
Or grot bags, one of them.
Yeah, grot bags are both good calls. Cup of soup. Yeah. Oh my word. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. Modern movies, it's hard to tell if women are actually women. Like Jenna Ortega, yeah. And at least she's got her eyebrows, like unlike that other tart.
Right. I don't know what's the girl called in the new Scream, the new actress. She's quite a pretty lady. I'd say.
That's
the older sister. The oldest. I don't know what she's called.
The block of wood. Right. So so what other? So yeah, those are the films. From Beyond the Grave, I think was there. Which is. Did I see?
Have I seen that? Oh, Jinx! I don't know if I've seen this one either.
No, I can't remember if I did now because I watched so many of them recently. They're all merged into one. But yeah, so we got genre stars: Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Herbert Lom. I'm not sure he was a genre star, but Patrick McNee can't go wrong.
I always get Patrick McGee and Patrick McNee mixed up.
I read it
when I see the name.
So I thought, why is that?
Yeah, no, I do that all the time, and then I'm like, oh, Patrick McNee.
Ralph Richardson, and then rising young actors: Donald Sutherland, Robert Powell,
that whippersnapper.
He's going to go a long way.
Yeah, it's like that band. Yeah, that band, the Beatles we spoke of earlier on. I hear great things. They're going to be great.
I think they're coming to Western Supermare soon. Yeah. Again,
young starlets such as Joan Collins.
Oh shit! You made me laugh. I pressed double clicked, and then Terry Thomas. The best thing Thomas's one is he gets cut up into pieces, put in jars. And then there's a jar of his teeth, and it's got the big gap.
Doesn't she give him a good right hook beforehand or something? I'm sure, down the stairs.
Yeah, she lays him out.
Yeah.
So yeah, John Pertwee. Oh yeah. Before is that
two Doctor Who's?
Two Doctor Who's. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, you're right about him being a really strange vampire. John
Yeah.
Pertwee.
The
Can you
least
imagine if
threatening
he'd have
man
been, yeah, if he'd have been like instead of Christopher Lee, it was John Pertwee and all the
ever. Was it Christopher Lee? Even though he did what 7 Dracula films, he was sick of them by the halfway through. He did a Count Dracula with Jess Franco in the early 70s, but he's got the moustache, which apparently is true to the book. He did have a moustache in
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Well, Terry Thomas would have been good then in that case.
Yeah, exactly. He would have. He's got the.
Oh, hello.
Hello,
He would
Mr.
have definitely enticed them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a strange one. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
House of Mortal Sin, Schizo. Okay, maybe I do need to buy it then.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit more
if anyone knows any deals on this box, put it in the chat. If it's £5, I'll buy it.
I think Mike will be warming up his stolen Land Rover to go through HMV's window tonight if you want something.
Yeah, can somebody go and get that?
Scream should have stopped out of the first one. Ooh. Second
I just rewatched it, and I was thinking like there's more in that first opening scene with Drew Barrymore than there is in a lot of the later films. It's just so good. It's better than I remember it. Yeah.
Nice. I've seen 4 of those.
Oh.
It's very easy to pick up because if they're all made within 5 years of each other and they look at the same cinematography.
Particularly Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, because I think we've both said Dr. Horror's House of Terror's, Dr. Horrible's House of... Oh.
That's the one. Yeah. Dr. Terrible, Dr. Horror, Dr. Terror, Dr. Terrible.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to remake, if the new... what do you call it? The new Amicus, that's the word. If they're going to... And I think they should either update or remake some of the original ones if they have the rights to them. I don't know if they do.
That's what I was going to try and find out. I don't think they own the rights to the pre. I think they just own the name.
Okay. Because it says they have the blessing of them, don't they?
Yeah, so they got the son of the original owners, but like who's ever released the films?
Yeah. Should just do it.
Right. Let's have a look. The abuse I get on here is unacceptable. You keep going
people talking about the Beatles as well. Thanks, Night Owl. Thanks, Don.
What the hell about me?
No, don't. You're fine. You're doing fine. You're the guy.
Yes, listen to this person. Video tasting. Yeah.
Who is this? Who's this chap?
Follow that
What's
link.
he sending me? Don't click on it. Right. It's probably a sort of virus.
I get a coin a penny every time you refresh.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you're the guy that's running the new Amicus there. I think we do a good job.
All right, I think.
Have you seen that with Deadly Bees?
What they used to do.
Okay.
I know we're going to do it then. No, I did have the opportunity, but I didn't get around it. But it's got Frank Finlay, and it was written by Robert Bloch.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Yeah.
A Taste for Honey.
I feel like it's on somewhere like the Isle of Man or somewhere very like an isolated tiny island or yeah. Otherwise the bees would just go away.
As soon as the rain starts.
Oh, it's been on Mystery Science Theatre 3000.
Oh, it must be good. Frank Finlay's in it. Pop singer Vicky Robin. Oh, I guess pop singer.
Oh, she's playing a pop singer, right?
And it doesn't say
Frank Finlay's an excellent actor.
I do like him.
Did you ever watch the TV series called The Sins with Frank Finlay and Pete Postlethwaite in it?
No.
And every episode was about one of the deadly sins. And
makes sense.
It was really, really good. Yeah, BBC thing from the early 2000s.
Yeah. That's going back.
It's really good. But yeah, Frank Finlay's quite old in it, but he's absolutely.
I was going to say, but yeah, I can't see it.
I think he plays Pete Postlethwaite's dad.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Who's in turn? What's his face's dad? Right. So The Skull in 1965. I didn't see this one. Freddie Francis again. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
McGee.
That one. Patrick McGee. Yes. Yeah, I've seen this one. Proper hippie psychedelia. Making somebody. Oh, maybe it's a different one actually, but I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one where they hypnotize somebody into going around and killing people.
Oh, it does look like a hypnotism film. For that awesome poster.
I could be wrong, but I think
Posters are
it's
cool.
Patrick Weimart that they kind of send off to do their bidding.
Okay. The Psychopath, a 1966 British film written by Robert Bloch.
Deal going.
Interesting.
Deal going. Yeah, he's getting the cash from Amicus.
So then we jump to Scream and Scream again. I love these posters. Like there's all because this is a very weird one. I watch this because it's got Vincent Price and Christopher Lee. They barely share a scene together. And Peter Cushing.
Yeah, this one's like right at the. It's a good one. I do like it actually, but then again, my taste when it comes to things that are kind of nearing almost the end of a franchise, I tend to like them, and most people tend to hate them. I like things being drawn out.
Leave Beetlebee. I'm already subscribed over here with Al providing views to Pug. There you go.
Yeah, legend.
Although I might have to watch that episode instead of the film. That sounds good.
Yes.
Or the Savage V's. This is a 70s TV movie filmed in New Orleans. There you go.
If it's got bees in it. Are you saying bees or beads?
The skull is on his watch list. There we go.
Pug Life.
Pug Life indeed. So where do we get? Oh, then we get to where do we get to? Scream and Scream again. So yeah, here we go. Vincent Price. I've done that one. I Monster. So yeah, this is it's based on Robert Louis Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it wasn't called that. So.
And Hammer are doing a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with
Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
So it could go either way, that one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'll be interesting.
But, the best thing about I Monster is the transformation, because of course it happens off screen. So he's all like combed hair and posh. Christopher Lee.
All my clever comments this evening are off screen as well.
But then he transforms, and then his hair goes immaculate when he transforms back, which is great.
Oh wow! It's a hair transformation.
Which one's this one?
Starts. You can see Patrick McGee gets as much. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, this is the one. Yeah.
Yeah. You said
this is the one set in the past. So yeah, about a woman that marries a man, and then there's a curse on the family because the thing the dad did, and
I tell you what, I think you're doing something in this, or certainly I've been watching them recently, and maybe I've confused them, or wanted you to do a video on this. Is the Hammer House of Horror TV series?
Oh yes, we are doing that.
Oh, cool! Because there's some brilliant ones in there, and it's kind of in those nice bite-sized pieces. In the same way as there's some great ones. There's some terrible ones. There's spooky kids. There's Peter Cushing pops in as a Nazi. There's all kinds of stuff. But I would say when it comes to quality, and you can kind of pick through them because there's like about 10 series, Tales of the Unexpected as well.
I think that's a tricky one to get through. I remember watching them when they came out, but
I remember watching them as a kid and being scared to death of just the opening of it for some reason.
I didn't want to remember it's the kid that rides off on a turtle at the end of an episode.
Oh, it's just I don't think people should have let me watch that. I think I shouldn't.
Don't think so. Yes, my parents. But yeah, Hammer House of Horrors is what was I saying? 21st, Saturday 21st.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
So
that should be good fun. It is fun.
Yeah.
Super wonky. Well, I'm awake right now, so I'm also super. Well, I'm just about woke actually because I'm exhausted.
Right, let's crack on with the new Amicus before we get to how they ended. So here is the campaign, In the Grip of Terror, which is a first film in 30 years. So luckily for Mike, it does feature attractive ladies.
Oh, good.
So you might watch it now.
Less of us, more attractive ladies. I believe that gets the audience.
Yeah. And then there is the current. I can't remember his. He is the president now of the company. He bought the company Amicus name, and
wow,
He's
I'm just reading his bio. That's a bold claim to be the Vincent Price of indie horror. Wow.
Yeah, he's made 10 films in the last 9 years, I think.
So Vincent Price. I wonder if he sounds like he's Scottish, isn't he? He won't
Yeah.
sound like Vincent.
Well, I'll play a video in a minute so we can all have a gander because he was supposed to turn up, but he is making a film at the moment, so he obviously
How
is
inconsiderate.
busy. I know. It's not this. We're not promoting his campaign.
Yeah, I paid this guy money. He needs to be here. I thought we were buying his time.
So you can put your own money in, £1 minimum.
Oh, what? I didn't realize that.
Or you can start at £20 for some glamour.
I went with digital special edition plus hat with yellow Amicus logo on it.
The hat.
Yeah, I think hats are the way forward.
You can get complete edition of Blu-rays with the 4K and everything, and the script in PDF. So as you go up, you get the awards from the previous things. So you get the Blu-ray, the PDF book, brick.
I love my brick.
Yes. A blick in the Blu-ray, posters, credits on this film, special thank you credits.
What is the brick? Is the brick you're buying I
think they're trying to do up. They're trying to do up a church.
Right. So your name will be on the brick, or
it's good better.
Because this reminds me a bit of when Stockport County was struggling, and we did a thing called ground for £1, and you were going to get your name on something if you put £10 or whatever into the thing, and nothing ever happened. I never got my name anywhere.
So
not saying that I'm sure they're going to do it.
Yeah, so they donate the cost of a brick to build a building.
Oh, okay. So
then you get the certificate and everything.
I'd like a brick though.
Buy your own brick. I'll steal one.
The postage though on a brick. I want an Amicus branded brick though, Gareth. I don't just want any old brick. Ooh, you get an IMDb. For £750, you could be an IMDb.
Be in the movie. There you go. Fly to Scotland, because at least with this one, it's in the UK.
Oh, that's not bad. You would have to fly. I could drive.
Yeah. So, well, I guess
I'll meet you there. Let's go. Let's do this.
In Scotland. So you can get producer credits. Then you can get the producer business card to show the ladies in the clubs. Producer,
they can go,
do you want to be in my
film? What's Amicus? And get away from me. Those are video. Yeah.
That's old.
And why are you wearing a wedding ring? All these questions would be asked.
They would. You could be a co-production, 7,500, and that is it. So, where are they? Hang on, let's go back to their goal. So they're
doing really well.
Yeah, they've doubled what they wanted for their first goal. So that's a good start. And I don't appreciate filth. Bob McCall.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah. I might have to put him in timeout. Feed the man £2 a bag. £3. Send me the money instead if you don't want to support the campaign. Right. Right, where do we get to? So we'll get stretch goals.
Yeah, feel free to send exactly the amount you would send to Amicus directly to Gareth. Wait, it has to be in a postal order.
Cash or postal. Postal order. Made out to cash. So yeah, they will class a legendary actor who's a surprise.
Vincent Price.
Maybe. CGI one. So then, yeah, they want to set up a HQ. And then they want to get the house. So they want to build this thing that will be the home and studio. So they will be able to film in this.
I feel like we've been very flippant now. I feel like we've been quite flippant, and then he's going to arrive, and we're going to be very reverent. And
indeed, we will.
No, I mean, we love the films. That's true. I'll speak for both of us on that one. Yeah. Ooh, needs to get his teeth sorted.
Yeah, 70 teeth, British teeth.
Is that Corey Feldman?
Could be. That's the Sergey. So yeah, that's the sons that are still with us that he's been dealing with.
Oh, that's cool.
Then we go the stories. I won't do spoilers, but yeah, there are one
story time with video tasties.
Yeah, there you go. Cool Air by H.P. Lovecraft. So We won't go into the spoilers, but there's that one. And then there's the Watcher.
Oh, I didn't realize it. I didn't scroll this far down. I didn't realize they broke down the film.
Just threw your money and
was
then
like,
ran.
Yeah, I was like, I'm on board. Let's go.
So they've already cast some people. And the Dead Spake. So yeah, this is about a radio device. And then you got the guy from Human Centipede 2.
Oh, I've had a nice evening with him. He's a lovely chap.
He does look a lovely chap.
He does, yeah. However, this is a very short story, but we were at a film festival and we were having a chat, me and my friend, and he was just kind of stood there at the bar. So I hadn't seen any of the Human Centipede films at this stage. So we were having a bit of a drink and we invited him over. We drank for a good couple of hours, got on like a house on fire. And then the next day I had to sit in a screening of a full color version of Human Centipede 2 while he did a live commentary. And I've never been so happy to be sat behind somebody with massive hair. And he was like, well, what did you think? What did you think? I was like, really good. Really good. He's a lovely chap and I didn't want to upset him, but yeah, it's not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So
yeah, I know.
Then another Ambrose. So yeah, it's just,
anybody in the chat like Human Centipede 2?
Well, Bob says your team are nowhere as bad as his. His is Tranmere's.
Much love to the League 2 family. Yeah.
I'm sorry, is that one,
yeah.
2,
it's our time now. It's our
3,
time.
4 stories.
Ooh, there's 4. That's cool. And I wonder how they're going to link them all together. I wonder if that's the big name actor.
But there is a wraparound. Yeah, there is a wraparound. It does mention that there will be, as customary for these.
That would be cool to get a big name in horror to do that, I think.
Yeah,
to be their
funeral-inspired wraparound sequence. So yeah, this is why they're having this whole church with a graveyard, and they're helping doing it up. But
who would be the new Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing of Britain now? Who is that?
Is there anyone?
I was just trying to think.
There's no 80s horrors as such, is there? For Britain?
It'd be somebody out of Game of Thrones, wouldn't it? It'd be like Liam Cunningham or someone like Charles.
Was it Liam Cunningham was in? What's that? The Voyage of the Demeter, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was good in that. I thought he was good.
Yeah,
I think I've got a review of that tomorrow. Actually, I filmed it. I filmed it by the sea.
Oh, nice. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Drove all the way to it.
Yeah, well, that was I didn't do that. I was at a different sea, but I was at the I was opposite our friends in the Isle of Man. I was at Seascale Beach.
Oh dear,
this is where I live. So I was in Cumbria. So yeah, I just thought, right, I've just watched this film. We had a massive storm, and I felt like when I was watching the film, I was in the film. So I probably have a different take on it than a lot of people. So then I was like, right, I'm going to go and film a review outside in the middle of the night on the beach, which was scary as hell and very loud as well. So we'll see how it comes out. We'll see if anybody likes it.
I could film from the beach, but there's no sea for about 2 miles. It's just sand and then mud.
Which beach is it?
Weston-super-Mare.
Ready.
Liam Cunningham would be great. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Charles Dance, but then it is Game of Thrones people. That big Scottish guy who's in everything. Yeah, and who was the one that was the Doctor Who in the 90s?
Christopher Eccleston?
No.
But he'd be good. In the 90s. Oh, Sylvester McCoy?
No, that was 80s. Someone in the middle of those two.
I'm not the Doctor Who.
The American one-off TV movie.
Oh, McGann.
That's it. Yeah, one of the McGanns, maybe. They're
all of the McGanns.
Yeah, well, one of them. They're all coming up to that age.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of current British horror people. There's James somebody or other. James Swanson. He's really good. He does like he's in Host, but you don't see him very much. He's kind of like the pizzazu of host, in the sense you don't see very much. But he's in a lot of horror. If people type in James Swanson into IMDb, you'll see he's been really good. Paul McGann.
Yeah.
Hey, calm down.
Oh, of course he was in that, wasn't he?
That's a cool T-shirt.
That is a nice T-shirt. And then,
however, it's black, which means I will get dog hair all over it. So unless they have a white one with
defeats the object. If so you got the polo shirt for the gentleman.
Oh,
and you got
playing golf kind of. That's the cap I'm getting. Hopefully.
Yeah, because
I've got no reason. They've made it, so
when the film comes out, oh shit, and there's a mug.
Can that be your first question? When's Matt getting his hat?
Yeah, because it doesn't mention those on the thing. It just says
we'll take a hard line with him.
you get the photo set in November. That's not this year. So everything else is next year after the film comes out. I guess
I'll just have a cold head until then.
Yeah, there's not much chance of getting the digital special edition when they haven't even started making the film.
Yeah, I want that now.
So yeah. So then you get your add-ons once you've had a pledge.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And then you get.
I just kick-started or put some money into another horror film yesterday. Stuart Ashen has made is making a horror film, and it sounds amazing. And he's doing a VHS box set of all three of his films that he's made, including this one. Actual VHS, not like kind of looking like a VHS box. So I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. So I pledged £100 English.
Bloody hell.
I know. What a fool. Because I can go, it'll be 2025 or whatever. And
well, when the money goes out the bank.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I was like, I don't regret doing it, but I don't know.
Well, there you go. What you get for
I got carried away. Yeah. Ooh, photo set.
Yeah. A sexy 70s secretary and it girl.
Are you getting? It's a shame you're not getting any pictures from like old lobby cards and things like that from the old films. Those would be cool.
They'd be expensive, wouldn't they? So yeah, and then there's this other work he's got. This is other films he's doing.
This is what we were discussing before.
Yeah, so this is the ones I need to catch up on.
Like early Hitchcock. Oh, look at that! Look at that front cover, Hex Studios. That looks
I did see that. Yeah, he's got 2 channels.
Yeah, those look cool.
He's got the Hex channel and the Amicus channel, but because he did do his films on the Hex label.
And did they do well? Or
I don't know. I didn't look into that.
We'll find out. We'll find. We'll get back to you.
They were all crowdfunded, I believe.
Well, he's made these films and he's made more than one. So
yeah, so people.
he's got an audience.
And then
that
the PDF. Well, it's a PDF you get, not that. Because that would be very expensive to produce.
Yeah, that would be the £3,000 tier.
Yeah. So it goes through all the stuff. So it's a big long. It is that big, but PDF.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Let's go back a bit. Someone's mentioned.
I think I'd rather have a Blu-ray or something similar.
The Devil's Machine was pretty good. There you go. See. Kim Newman said it was good. So
there's a tip of the hat to Mr. Dan.
Sarah Douglas could be in some new. Is that the one from Superman 2? Or am I thinking someone else?
They should get somebody like Caroline Munro in these films, surely.
Yeah, she's still around us.
Yeah, she's amazing. Lovely lady. Yeah, so she honestly possibly the nicest famous person I've ever met. I would say, like genuinely interesting, and just such a giving, lovely lady. So yeah, she should be in every film. She should be Batman. She should be Batman. Why not?
So yeah, this is the office I want to buy. There you go. See, the Caroline fans are in there.
Yeah,
she was nearly Vampirella in the Hammer films, but it never happened.
Yeah, and in the Alucard starring AD 1972.
73.
73. 73? I thought it was 72.
No, it is 72,
Oh,
but I think in one country it came 73 and then it's
did it
called 70.
really?
I think
I
so.
thought you were doing that song, 71, 72, or whatever it was.
Oh, you do
You're
get your
going to
name.
break it.
You kind of
Oh,
your
you
name
do?
stuff,
Oh, okay.
but not
I'm
on a
not doing
brick.
it now.
Engraved in a
Oh.
permanent display. So
Oh, you got
not
me
every-
all excited, and then
You can go up there when it's built and scratch your name in if you want. Oh yeah, he was the one from Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, get beat up by Laurie Brewster.
So then we get there's the credit bundle. So
It does look good, the cover. If that's going to be the actual cover, that's really cool.
So you got stuff that's signed and everything.
Hat, t-shirt, the lot.
A lot of effort into this, so it does look like
the branding's really good.
It does look nice.
The Book of Beastly Creatures.
Who wrote that? Doesn't say, does it?
I wonder if it's from his films.
Yeah, I think it's Is it artwork? So
that dog looks cool. Is that a Springer Spaniel?
Cujo style, yeah.
Yeah. My horror dog is currently asleep at the moment. But she's
yeah, invites to the premieres around the world.
Oh. This is the thing. You see these things on Kickstarter and you go, oh, I'd love to go. And then you think, how am I going to get there? Or how?
Yeah. Those, yeah. Don't know if I can make it to Texas on that day.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed on Kickstarter, there's always a lot of films based on short Stephen King things because he just licenses them to everyone for free. Was it
£1 or something? Really ridiculous, isn't it?
There was one about a milkman that I saw that they did in Britain, and I was so tempted to just turn up and be a victim in it. However, I am in an anthology film. I probably should have mentioned this.
Oh, well, this might have been information we could have done with earlier.
Totally forgot. An hour. We've been doing this an hour, and I forgot. I'm a news reporter in an anthology film by a guy I'm interviewing on Sunday called Dustin Tamplin, who made a film called Lights Over Montgomery County, which has just come out, which is a brilliant found footage film. And I was helping him out with a few things, and we were chatting about an interview. And he needed someone to be a news reporter in another film they're doing, his production company. And I literally, I tried my best to be a news reporter.
A northern news reporter? No such thing.
Yeah, there's northerners. What are they doing? Talking and walking around like normal people.
Well, I wouldn't say they're talking, but
yeah, you need those BBC English, don't we? We need that received English, Gareth.
Oh yes, there you go. Tonight, the Thames has flooded again. All right, so there's that. So we remove that for a second. So I got a short video, a few minutes long, that I stole from his channel. So I'll just play that so people can see what's going on without me spoiling it. If I can find it. Where is it? There it is. Right. Engage. This might kill the whole stream, so be prepared. It might fail.
This less beautiful man arrived in 1981. Between those years, a writer with a passion for horror stories ventured to Britain from distant shores. His name, Milton Subotsky. And with a spirited team of artists, challenged even the legendary Hammer by producing classic horror films, such as The House That Dripped Blood, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, and my personal favourite, Asylum. Those films were my companions, and their stars, my personal heroes. But that was a long time ago. The cameras have ceased to roll. The lights shine no longer. And in the darkness, Hammer and Amicus crumbled. The golden era of British horror was over.
In the Grip of Terror marks the first Amicus horror film in over 40 years. Just as with the classic Amicus Productions, our utmost priority is exceptional writing. our film will uphold this tradition, showcasing adaptations inspired by 4 classic literary works.
Our film is set in an anachronistic world that blends the distinctive style of 60s and 70s British horror.
Without actually being set in the past. So, for example, our characters might use mobile phones. And the latest in computer technology.
Which helps us to create a world that is both nostalgic and familiar. With a few modern twists, of course. You can pledge for our stunning Amicus Blu-ray Special Edition, packed with hours of extras, along with our signed bundle and complete edition Blu-rays. We have digital download versions as well.
We also have official Amicus clothing, manufactured to the very highest standard, including official Amicus t-shirts, premium quality film crew zip hoodies, and film crew caps.
And for the discerning gentlemen, polo shirts.
We also have bundle rewards which offer our backers great savings, as well as special awards that include thank you credits, which will see your name in the movie and IMDb.
We also have an Amicus Returns PDF book and a credit reward that will see your name included in the acknowledgements. Our book tells the story of how we brought Amicus back and includes a production diary and script with director's comments.
Not to mention high-quality enamel badges and official patches that you can stitch onto pets owned by your enemies.
And if you'd like the chance to perform in the film and share a scene with me, there are special rewards called Be in the Movie and Act in the Movie.
Not to mention our producer credits, which will see your glorious name featured at the end of the film and on IMDb. So, the rest is now up to you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for any pledges, shares and support you can give our campaign to help it succeed. With your support, not only can we produce the first new Amicus film in 40 years, but we can do that together, and we can build a new home for Amicus. We can make film history with the resurrection of a beloved name in horror, and we can do that today. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to be working with you very soon. Goodbye.
Oh,
And here he is. Mr. Brewster has turned up now.
Oh, gentlemen, hello!
How did you do that, Gareth?
As if by magic.
Wow.
I thought I should dramatically arrive circa near the end of the video presentation. But most appropriate.
Yeah.
Well,
well, let me apologise though first that I'm late as well. Well, look,
No,
there's
well,
Megan Tremetics.
yeah, Megan's here too, so everyone's in the house. So welcome both.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you so much for talking about what we're trying to do with the revival of Amicus as well. And if you've got any questions, I'm so sorry I just got shambled in there.
No, well, I was just taken in by watching the trailer, and I was just like that, and then you came back on and you were there, and I was oh yes, yeah. I'm not just watching this; I'm actually in this.
Yeah, we're living the
breaking
dream.
the fourth wall. They're coming for you.
Oh my word! This is so many questions.
Oh yes. Go for it.
Gareth, you can go first if you want.
Well, wait,
my
if
friend.
you're going to ask questions, I'm going to ask Meg for a bourbon and coke. Let's see if she can help me. Meg, is there any chance for a bourbon?
These will be pretty taxing questions, such as how long till I get my hat? No.
Yes, where's the hat?
I want you to know that I personally wear every Amicus hat that their backers naked. It's a way of really placing my soul in that costume item that you can enjoy.
And that's what I'm expecting. Possibly a photo of you wearing the hat.
Yeah, each hat fine.
Together. So as a writer and as a filmmaker, was Milton Subotsky always on your radar as somebody you looked up to? Was this your kind of dream goal sort of thing?
Yeah, right. Oh man, that's a really good question. So with Amicus and Hammer, I've always had a strong romantic attachment to that era of filmmaking in particular. It's quintessentially British. It's idiosyncratic. It feels like it almost predates the kind of globalism that has made everything so much more vanilla. The streaming giants producing everything. Here in a magical cave is a type of horror film that it feels not exist again. And in the space of modern British horror filmmaking, it doesn't feel like anyone's attempting to occupy the kind of lower budget gothic horror space.
Even anthology wise, the American anthologies are very, very different. I know I count, there's definitely some influence, and I feel like there's a resurgence in interest in anthology films. But what is it about? What do you think is the appeal of an anthology and or a portmanteau film? Obviously, there was kind of realistic reasons for making them in terms of cost effectiveness and use of time and availability of actors, but they work so well, don't they? And even now, when people are scrolling and looking and consuming things very quickly, I think they work incredibly well because you're on to the next thing. You're on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm a romantic at heart. The practical, functional nature of whether the film works because its cogs turn this way or that isn't as important. I don't think literally this kind of project can work in this kind of way. Because you could watch an anthology film, and if a segment's really boring, it's going to feel longer than 2 hours of a feature film that you enjoy watching. With Blake Milton, as I understand, he took great inspiration from Dead of Night, which is an absolutely spectacular anthology film that still holds it. And enormously. I always hate it when people say "still holds up," compared to what?
We're still watching it. Yeah, like it's still
You imagine a film that stands the test of time of over 80 years, and the stuff that's heralded and hyped now could barely stand probably 25 minutes in the kind of race around of social media.
Look at Nosferatu or something like that. I would put that up against any modern film as really watchable. If you're willing to get past the fact it's black and white and silent, oh wow, and it's the most entertaining, creative film you could possibly watch this evening if you were to put it on right now. So I'm totally with you on that. Yeah,
if you put an electro synth score on it, then A24 could release
it. What a great idea! If only we knew a filmmaker.
So with Milton, I was aware of Milton Subotsky, but it was. And you'll know yourselves how when you become a fan of horror, especially as a young person in Britain, the world of Hammer and Amicus is kind of combined a little bit. It takes a moment to disentangle the facets. Same with Tigon as well. And the unique things that set those studios apart becomes more apparent because they often shared similar stars. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, but with Amicus, I love both. I love Hammer as well. But the differences with Amicus were something that I found appealing, were particularly connected with them being more independent film related. There was something of the underdog about them. I'm an underdog. I'm an independent film producer. I could relate more to these films that were very cleverly using the budgets that they had. They were shooting contemporary stories that still had a kind of gothic timelessness about them. And I would watch, say, the Hammer films with their lurid gothic sensuality and sumptuous kind of colors. I would love that, absolutely love that. But I knew that that's much harder to do. And with the various attempts of reviving Hammer, the Simon Oakes era and all that, which some might characterize as one catastrophe after another, then it felt like, well, one, I knew, that we couldn't do any help or justice with Hammer. It would take far more resources than anything that we had. But my heart lay with Amicus for these reasons that I couldn't always pinpoint. But watching the films, it felt like I was watching something that was made with the kind of love that could only come from the independent film world. And so it was no surprise when I learned that Milton was, his office was in a cabin, in the car park of Sheffield.
That's it. The sheer scale, the difference in scale between Hammer and Amicus, people I think forget. Just the fact that Amicus had that studio and that big building, and essentially Amicus was a shed. But
you're totally right.
Yeah, you put those two things together because the names go together. The scale, obviously, they're both powerhouses and very popular and attached to British horror in, like you say, in a romantic way, but also in a historical success kind of way. But
yes,
in terms of it's great. It's amazing.
It was interesting as well, though, that Amicus had done films that, they were nibbling on the heels of Hammer, exploration-wise, with things like And Now the Screaming Stars, or even kind of slightly arty, contemporary-ish kind of films like The Skull. So when we're looking at like what we could do with Amicus, we're looking at, of course, the portmanteaus, but we're seeing these glimpses of where they kind of explored, and we think, well, you know what, that's a cool space to explore as well. As we look to revive Amicus. And one of the things that will determine what we do is really what Hammer decides to do under John Gore as well, which is really interesting as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Which would you say of the films you've made in the past would kind of fit within or if any, that kind of fit alongside Amicus, or what you're planning to do with Amicus? Or is it going to be a completely new sort of new turn for you, new direction for you?
Well, I feel like there's some aspects from films like Lord of Tears, the very first horror film that is showing its age now, but God bless it, is a contemporary horror film that seemed a bit old-fashioned. And for those that enjoyed the film, it was those charms that they found most appealing, and many of which reminded them of older films. And then maybe to an extent, potentially The Devil's Machine, otherwise known as Automata, but then it's much more in the Hammer category, and it's quite subversive. It's dealing with like super weird themes. When we look at the kind of Amicus projects, it will be maybe more like a little bit in the spirit of Lord of Tears, but I guess the most important thing though is it's really in the spirit of Amicus. In other words, Amicus won't be moving to me; I'll be moving to Amicus.
Right.
Because it's got style, it's got an aesthetic, and some might say, well, its aesthetic is tied with the period from which it was made. And it's like, well, sure, yeah, I mean, no one's romantic about Amicus for the reasons. No one's romantic for Amicus because of the way they, for example, scheduled film productions. It's based on when we look back at them now and have them. Hence, one of the reasons that we want to employ this interesting and fun anachronistic world, which has nostalgic aspects of kind of late 60s or early 70s kind of Britain, with just some kind of modern elements. And I think that would be a lot of fun. I've kind of enjoyed doing that a little bit with some of my more recent work, and I think that was just perfect because it can help you kind of create what feels like a spiritually authentic world and universe that feels connected to Amicus.
Yeah, because obviously, I don't know where you are in terms. I imagine that the plan isn't to sort of remake any of the originals. It's like you said, the spirit of Amicus and that kind of working with yourself and new creators, I imagine, and kind of taking it on, but retaining a lot of that rewatchability. I think that's what makes Amicus, for me, I love dipping back into Amicus anthologies. I can, there's a comfort to watching them, and that's a hard thing to replicate, I guess, but it's exciting that you're getting to do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You pinpointing that aspect, because you're right. I've watched Amicus films a million times. I think like there's something kind of. I said this to Sergei Miltosbotsky's son, who I'm working with, and he was very much of the same mind, that there's a likability and a kind of reassuring quality to these stories. It might be that they're set against a kind of moral universe that feels like you're in a safe place. You know, if you don't do anything too mischievous or naughty, you're going to be okay, and you're going to see these villains get their comeuppance. And I don't know. I mean, of course, I've got quite perverse taste, so of course I would find them heartwarming. You know, say, yeah, they're heartwarming. You know, sorry. What? But
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah, like you said, comforting, and I totally get that as well. I'm sure most people who watch it, they're not the most, you know, gory or. Oh, there's some definite violence and unsettling themes, but they're, like I say, there is a kind of comforting watch feel to them, and I think that's something that maybe there isn't a lot of now. It is a kind of a niche that isn't really explored a lot now.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, like the original Dead of Night kind of nailed it with the kind of creepy segments and then a kind of slightly funny segment, or a funny segment, you know, and the Amicus kind of developed that formula further and went with that. Yeah, and you're right, it's kind of absent. Like for most British horror films, they tend to just be comedies. Mostly inspired by kind of things like the kind of humor in Shaun of the Dead and things like that. In fact, if anything, what we often see in British horror, especially in the independent film sphere, is and this is just my opinion, a kind of insecurity that almost manifests itself through incorporating cringe humor and humor, as if they were apologizing for making the film. And so they'll have awkward characters that are always embarrassing themselves and always failing. And
that's a really good point. Yeah.
And
yeah, like, you see that, don't you?
And if you're trying to make a film with the Gothic tradition and you're doing something artistic but not pretentious, you know, like more rooted in theatre and romanticism, well, these are not trendy things. You know, at the moment you're supposed to stare at a diner window looking detached with your vape to a synth score, staring for 10 minutes, right? You know, the Sundance Prize or whatever. A24 or something, and it's like, oh, that's art. That's fucking art. You know, a guy doing ballet, you know, and some crazy.
Like committing to making a film that isn't commenting on itself or laughing at itself. That's a really good point. And I think as well, maybe that, I don't know, 100% know more about this than I would, but just from talking to other filmmakers, British filmmakers, there seems to be a kind of, it will get funded, certainly BFI, and we'll put the name to things, if you go in and say it isn't horror, if you pretend it's something else, or you change it so it's not a horror. It's still a kind of dirty cousin, strange. It's a strange one that when it comes to funding in the UK. Is that why this is a Kickstarter? You've got complete control over what you do with the Amicus name.
Right. No, yeah, that's interesting. I love those kind of questions, because they kind of strike at the heart, really, of the film industry. You know, how are films funded and what constitutes a real film or not, based on how they are funded and put together. Well, firstly, you're right. I mean, public film boards are not comfortable with horror films, you know, period, unless they're so ridiculous that their teeth are too blunt to bite anything, or they have a kind of awkwardly injected social commentary, you know, to justify their existence for public funding. But by and large, though, the vast majority of independent films aren't publicly funded or contributed to anyway. You know, they tend to be quangos that reward the same people that come back time and time again. So for genre films, you know, they just don't exist. And if any genre filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers are watching and think that they should, it's a waste of time. In terms of crowdfunding, well, like, wow. As a producer, a lot of my experience is in film distribution, dealing with contracts and stuff like that. And I mean, what can I say, gents, except that the distribution market has completely collapsed. You know, physical media has crashed. VOD is only paying about 15% what physical did. So lots of medium tier distributors are just crashing out the market. That's actually why, ironically, a few of them are gravitating towards production, because they're trying to make some off the budget of the films, you know, commissions, tax rebate stuff, you know, all the kind of things that go in with film finance, rather than making sales from selling movies. And they're getting the squeeze big time. And for them, crowdfunding websites do offer some opportunity for just only a few, kind of more trendy ones. Like, for example, take on Kickstarter right now, Deathgasm 2. Really awesome sequel to Deathgasm. But supporting that, and behind, you know, it's not behind the scenes, it's public, is, you know, Raven Banner, big horror sales agent. Now, 5 years ago, right, if you'd spoken to a company like that and said, hey, you know, you're going to help finance this movie on Kickstarter, they'd be like, get it.
Yeah.
Goddamn
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How strange that they've come over to this side of things, which was almost like a punk, you know, get a film made, people making films who were never going to make films, you know.
Well,
and
when I did my first Kickstarter, like 12 years ago, it was like that, but it's definitely changed now, because as streaming platforms are commissioning their own films, you know, paying their own mercenaries to deliver what their board have, you know, decided, then why buy some other company's film or some other guy's movie? You make your own, right? If you're Amazon or whatever. So they stopped buying independent content. And they controlled the royalty rates that you got for VOD distribution. It's only like 4 or 5 big corporations, and they're paying like pennies. So that's why, you know, they're looking for other ways to make money, and that's why, in desperation, they've even gone to websites like Kickstarter, which has lent them a new credibility, as not as necessarily as the way of financing a film, but as doing pre-sales or pre-orders. So we were ahead of the curve, really, with this. Another good reason for doing it as well is Amicus and even our other company, Hex, has always been based on the grassroots. If we're not making horror films for the fans that are most passionate about the genre we're working in, or especially in Amicus, then who are we making them for? And no one's going to tell us quicker like what they like or don't like than those who, you know, are willing to trump for Blu-ray before a movie's even finished.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, I mean, my last question, and I'm sure Gareth's got some questions as well. My last question is kind of related to like how you feel about looking at that on screen right now and seeing, you know, the amount of people, those 863 people who are getting them. That must be really edifying and just a wonderful feeling for you, like mine's.
Oh, I'm a Scotsman, so I would tend to
every
never
penny.
Are we at stretch goal 3? No, we're not.
Let's keep going.
It's rubbish. It's
Who wants £128,000? Yeah. We do, Gareth and myself.
A lot of scratch cards.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a great YouTube video.
I mean, I see Amicus as more important than myself. I see myself as a cog in an ambitious machine to try and champion not just the return of a company, but a type of art that I feel is absent in the horror genre. When I see that kind of value from the total contributions so far, it is reassuring that we are, you know, identifying so many folks that share our perspective. But I know that our plans are more than just making a film. You know, our stretch goals include buildings, infrastructure. We're really trying to rebuild a studio. No one's done that in this way. Like, not
that would be amazing.
I mean, if you're doing it the normal way, you'd be looking at a hedge fund, IP licensing, and all the hammer hoobaloo, that happened 10 years ago. And it's like, we knew that was never going to work here, but we knew our alternative had never been tempted either. So
there's always the first person now, the first,
I'm pleased, but at the same time, I feel like my duty is to try and get it to 150,000. And I know that there's people out there who are willing to pledge to pre-order the movie and support what we're trying to do. It's my job to let them know that the project exists. So it's a tough responsibility. It's one I take very seriously, and I'm on a mission to try and do it. That's the first step for Amicus. And yes, what we're seeing so far is exciting, but I'm just thinking about what I've still got to do.
Yeah. The only way things get done are if I guess if you've got like a driven approach towards it. So yeah, I can I'm sure we all applaud that. Getting so many great comments from people, and it is just great premise. As if by magic, Gareth there.
Hey, thanks guys. Yeah, it's lovely seeing the comments there. Now, if everyone watching just pledges for the executive producer, we could hit that.
Oh, there you go. We can do it tonight. Let's go. I'm not leaving until it's done.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
We've had 5 folks actually pledge for exec producer. I mean, that's a lot of money. And when we did this campaign, we weren't sitting with like a little black book of like, okay, well, hey, rich buddies, let's all come in and we'll make it look like we've got grassroots support. It's like no. This is all organic.
yeah. That's it's when you're looking at these sort of stretch goals and these things, and like you talk about infrastructure, I think that's so. People want more than just one Amicus film. That's what I think fans of horror want, and the same for Hammer. When Gareth and myself bring back Tigon. No.
I spoke to the owners of Tigon, just not that we would have done something with it. I had other folks who knew that were good people that would, I guess that's more than busy, but I would love to have seen that come back and that kind of wilder spirit of, more unusual films. In fact, that's maybe what Hex is going to become now. And as Amicus becomes the flagship for broader Gothic British horror, there's no reason for Hex to trample the same territory. Then it might just go full crazy Tigon mode,
Nice. Well, that sounds great, because there are so many. I was doing a thing for an American podcast recently, and they asked me to do 5 British horror films, and I was like, right, I'm going to do 60s and 70s. I'm not going to do Amicus or Hammer, just to prove there is, I can tell you about Theatre of Blood. I can tell, we can have these conversations and kind of really, it was such it was sort of spawned all these different, production companies making really interesting and exciting films. So with your success, surely other people will come along with that.
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? I mean, because the success of Amicus isn't defined by how much it affects one person. It's certainly, although I'm the face of the marketing, there's me and there's Miss Amicus, Megan Tremaine. There's my business partner Sarah Daly as well. This isn't anyone's personal vanity project, and the reflection of that should be projects as we develop them that champion talent that we think can strengthen this type of storytelling and just give British horror an alternative voice. Yes, one inspired by the past, but I feel that's, funnily enough, more missing now than ever. The great British Gothic ghost story, the tradition of that. There's so many great things to play with. It's not to say that they're like fuddy-duddy old things that we're like the Reader's Digest of British horror.
No, not at all. I think you're totally right with that. There was a kind of a resurgence of interest in folk horror that maybe people didn't see coming, and these things, to a certain degree, are cyclical, but also there's people going, I haven't seen that for ages. I want to see another one, but I want to see a new one.
Well, like looking at the infrastructure to try and achieve this, because one of the tricky things with the campaign is, there isn't a trailer for the movie yet. People are like basically saying, you know what, I'm going to give these guys a chance. So they're, pitching in for the movie In the Grip of Terror. But the stretch goals, including that most ambitious one, the third one, which is itself, as you can see, it looks pretty scary, right? It's like, oh yeah, sure, that's a fully detached 19th century church building. What's the plan there? Oh, wow. Basically, if we can get to that stretch goal, then there are some, let's just plainly put it, there are some dudes that will say, you know what, okay, but you've done that, I'll chip in the rest. Okay. And then, we get a base. Now, that place is going to need work. There'll be stages as we develop the company, coinciding with the development of films as well. This will all be hand in hand. But ultimately, if we can have a building that stands as a monument and as a temple to all things we love about British horror, and can become a wonderful location for us to do things like making films and even maybe events or things, then I think that would be exciting. That's what I hope it can achieve, and what Amicus can achieve as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's looking good. Oh, the Australians are kicking in, saying British equals horror. There you go. I don't know if that's a positive thing or.
That could be to Milton Keynes, that's true.
Oh well.
They're talking about our cricket, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, the roundabouts. But what are the odds on this new home of yours being haunted?
Oh, very high.
Oh, yeah. Good.
I mean, there's a graveyard already, so
yeah. You're gonna move the coffins and the gravestones, not just the gravestones, right?
Yeah, you don't want to make the whole mistake. That's
yeah. So where are we at with this? So it's 4 stories.
Mm-hmm.
I did count that right. All by different writers. And then, so where are we? Yeah. So they're all, the script's all written and everything's locked in.
Basically, there's some tweaks to make on a diagnosis of death.
Okay.
Sometimes the kind of tweaks are more related to who might be in them or not. We're still kind of like talking to folks, and sometimes it's like I could do it, but I wouldn't be able to come over there or here, and so you're trying to figure out like what's possible. Okay. But when we've been developing the scripts, and I've been writing with some of them. I've been working with Sergey and his mother as well, Fiona Milton's like looking at them. Like 3 of the 4 stories are actually ones that were suggested by Fiona herself.
Okay.
She kind of gave us like a brief. She was like, these are the things that I thought, with my husband was always what made an Amicus film true. And it was like, okay, well, I better pay attention to that.
Yes. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, and 100% right. Great stories. And then we put one in as well, Cool Air from H.P. Lovecraft, because I like Lovecraft as well, and for a lot of American folks as well, there's an author that they especially like, and it's like, it's a shame for them to, I mean, it's not Ambrose Bierce is American, but it's just it's good to kind of have in horror literature a gateway drug to Ambrose Bierce that you've met, and that's
sure.
Yeah, people will love that, and I think as well when you mention about having the family's involvement and the understanding. Yeah. I'm sure there's an interview. Sorry, I've forgotten what Milton Subotsky's wife was called again.
Fiona.
Fiona. On I think it's on the Asylum Blu-ray or something, and speaks so. I think it's a present day interview, and I've certainly seen one, and speaks so with such understanding of what it was. Clearly a lot of conversations and collaboration were had over the kitchen table or in the living room, kind of just discussing it. So that's really exciting to hear that you've got that kind of special sauce, I guess.
Well, it took time. I mean, we like the Sobotsky family didn't decide to work with us overnight. It was over a year of like negotiation and getting to know each other. I would consider Sergei now. Not to be too presumptuous. I would consider him a good friend, and that friendship as well is such an important thing, because that's what makes this whole enterprise all the more fun and positive as well. As you know, like in the history of Amicus, it was like Hammer racked with financial challenges and conflicts, between the producers and the business side and the creative side. And so, for example, with Amicus now, this is all based on the love of Amicus. This is not anyone's get-rich-quick scheme. Appealing to the niche.
You've really, really gone deep into the scam.
Yeah, it's opposite of the quick scheme. Yeah. But you only live once, and it's great looking back at the Amicus films and enjoying them. But the absence of that kind of art and storytelling is a good reason to champion its return and bring Amicus back. Because you'll have someone that'll be like, that's like, hey man, you can never bring Amicus back. It'll never be as good as the days with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. And I'm like, oh yeah, no shit. I mean, that's not the plan here. To take something I love and then try to defeat it.
Yeah.
That's like great. I was spending someone better at being Christopher Lee than Christopher Lee.
Yeah, we've got this guy who looks just like Christopher Lee, so I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm quite comfortable with the new Amicus films never being as good as the old classic Amicus films. They don't have to be. They just have to, and they shouldn't be. Like, why would that even be important? What's important is that they pay tribute, they take inspiration, and that they're good horror films. And their hearts are in the right place. Nice. They're not cynical business endeavors. They're good, well-produced films. I don't want to, kill my heroes or engage in iconoclasm or anything like that. We've seen that a lot with intellectual properties, where they're acquired and then ruined in order that they can be dismantled and bring back new properties, new actors, new people. But there'll be no Disney Star Wars with the new...
No CGI Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in the same room. No.
No, the IP deal for Jar Jar Binks in the new Amicus film was pretty cheap.
That would be... I would love to... I'm an unapologetic Jar Jar Binks fan.
That would be the greatest twist ever. That's actually the greatest accomplishment of Disney was making.
Yeah, Misa wants to see that in the film. So. I think that when you talk about that kind of, people sort of saying things like, oh well, Christopher Lee's not in it, and Peter Cushing's not in it, or whatever. You've also got to realize that I suppose be careful for what you wish for. If you're desperate to see a new Exorcist film, I've not seen it, but the feedback I've got from people who the original Exorcist is their absolute favorite film. This is something that's just upset them rather than entertain them. So, so I don't know. I don't want to make a judgment because I've not seen the film, but I think that approach of kind of honoring and kind of looking at something in its own right can only be a more creative and interesting way of approaching something, surely.
Totally. It's like, it's nice to hear Bach play music when he composed it and performed it for the first time, but it's not a good reason to never listen to it again because he isn't on the harpsichord, It's pretty good ideas and pretty good.
Fine.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that. And there was also questions. I've had so many questions about whether Amicus will be reinvented for modern audiences. And I don't even know what that means. But you know, it goes into a world of hashtags and all of that, and it's like, I don't care about any of that, and certainly Amicus doesn't. What we care about only is good horror stories. That's it, you know. So there isn't going to be any attempts to do anything weird. If that makes sense. Anyway, one way or the other, you know.
Modern audiences, you should check out Gareth's videos on modern audiences. He does. Anybody who's watching,
yeah, there was a lot of like wondering like whether, well, for example, whether, you know, because of course we have a nostalgic appreciation for Amicus, so would they all be present day? And I had a lot of questions about will they deal with present day issues, and I was like, well, the Monkey's Paw isn't a present day issue. It wasn't in 1971 either.
Yeah, there wasn't a big Monkey Paw issue in the UK at that time.
It's like, go watch a documentary, you know. It's a horror movie. It's okay.
That's what I mean,
yeah, that's a really fair point.
If you could be back on the set of any of the original films, which one would you like to be on the making?
Well, you know, obviously being Stephanie Beacham's assistant and now Shooting Stars would be that'd be pretty cool. I would do anything for Stephanie. One of my favorite Amicus films is Asylum. I love you know, Robert Powell and Patrick McGee in that, and that's probably the Amicus film I've watched the most, and it's and admittedly I would probably be, you know, I could be Charlotte Rampling's personal assistant as well. I could bring an endless supply of Kit Kats, whatever she wants. You know, it's probably all I'm capable of, really, you know, apart from producing. But yeah, that's my favorite film.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
because we were discussing our favorites before, and the beat. I think Gareth, yours was The Beast Must Die. Mine was Asylum. Two very different films. I imagine you've got ideas to move, not just necessarily portmanteau films. You've got a kind of an eye on some of the other inspiration from because there's quite a range in there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's musicals, sci-fi.
That is interesting. Yeah. I think our work will be in the horror sphere. I feel like, although, you know, we had Amicus producing films that were in the kind of fantasy sci-fi genre, that might just be a leap too far, because Amicus at the time were responding to changing tastes in the market as they came. The world maybe has an appetite for Amicus horror, but they're probably not like waiting with bets with Pteronauts too, or
yeah. I mean, the deadly bees. I mean,
and never say never if it has a horror tangent, you know, like a creature feature, and things like that, like for sure. It was actually funny. I've had quite a lot of questions about whether we would be doing remakes as well of Amicus horror films. You know, as if I was wanting to commit Harry Carey in the horror genre unnecessarily.
Part of me really wants to see that, but then it's one of those, isn't it? The moment a mobile phone appears on screen, people will just explode, because like they can't make a film with a mobile phone in it. None of the things will make sense.
No mobile phones in the new. So like the classic Amicus films are completely safe. Unless I get really drunk and we decide to make Pteronauts, you know, that's that was for a joke. Actually, I said that's the only film we would consider remaking, and there was a guy that flipped out. You know, like Pteronauts was his like baby, like Citizen Kane of horror.
Oh wow!
And I was like, dude, it's joking.
So let's get some rumors out there. So the Deadly Bees remake on the Isle of Man, or
I'll remix this later.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the other thing as well. Like, we were keen with Amicus to bring it back and not have. It sounds a bit weird to say this, but like there were interests, and there was always buzzing interest in Amicus as a kind of fetish one-off project. Like, oh, let's do like a thing, like a Christmas specials type thing, BBC Two, like with BBC Lovies and stuff like that. And it would come and go like as a one-off, you know, like as if anything Amicus had to say or do could be exploited with one new project and then dismissed and exorcised from the kind of fetish interests of certain parties. And our proposals and our vision for Amicus were never grounded in something like that. You know, we want to bring it back for good. For as long as I haven't eaten so many chocolate cookies that I'm pushing Daisy, you know, I will be wanting to do that.
Well, we can all get behind that, definitely.
Yeah.
Not the cookies part, but the film.
Well, I can get behind that. Well, unless you, of course, find the next Doug McClure, and then you can write your own checks.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things is, and maybe you guys have ideas on this, but like, because there was someone that said to me on one of the boards, or like, yeah, but you know, who's your Christopher Lee today going to be? And I was like, well, you're stressing about that. It's like, you know, the world doesn't know who the Christopher Lee is of today. You know, like, like there isn't like this obvious British theatre type name that is quintessentially connected to the horror genre that is regularly working in horror films. That would be the obvious choice. And part of the fun, I think, is actually going to be seeing whether we can discover talents of different ages as well. There could be like a theatre, basically, right? There'll be some theatre thespian type actor, right, who's probably 60 and drinking too much like me. And he hasn't been in films because they haven't been making the kind of films that he would be in. Our Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing is already out there and just isn't being recognised in the present pop culture. And
I guess that's a bit like Jed Shepherd was saying about, you know, over the years we've lost a lot of Ari Asters and a lot of, you know, creative people who weren't getting that funding or support or education to do these things. We've lost these kind of, and then you could say the same for actors, I guess, that they've not got these avenues to jump into because the films are not being made. But it's going to be so exciting to hear and see who your casting choices in the future and who, like, say, the next or the different universe version of Christopher Lee.
Well, you know, one of the things I always found amusing with Amicus films is, I'm not saying it'll be as much like this, but there was always a reasonable number of middle-aged white businessmen who were always very late for meetings, you know, when they would get trapped in the wraparound store. Well, what's going on here? I've got a meeting. What's all this? And then they'd see a chair with a wine glass. Ah, well, I suppose I'll sit and have a drink. And they all sit together. Well, here we are.
Sniff report, anyone?
Exactly.
Yeah. Train, elevator.
Yeah. Bowler hat. Umbrella.
But, you know, like, yeah, we'll have those guys back and we'll have others as well. It's like, we're not going to pretend that that's not, you know, a thing. It's funny, yeah. Also, one of our wee horror stars is Megan Tremethick, who is at the moment our Lady Amicus ambassador. There she is.
The cookies.
So, what Megan is doing, and this is something that we're having a lot of fun with, is we're kind of also evoking a sense of the glamour of British Gothic. Now, this is something more what one would expect to find in Hammer, really. But Amicus wasn't, you know, not doing that as well. Obviously, with Stephanie Beach and Charlotte, you know, and all Rampling and all that. So we're looking forward to having fun with that as well. Bringing out the glamorous, sensual side of Gothic horror and British Gothic horror. And at the moment, Megan is our Lady Amicus, having lots of fun coming up with ideas for lots of Gothic dresses, skulls, and candelabras.
Nice. That sounds like something Gareth will be doing later episodes on. You're doing about, was it the
70s vampire ladies?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, we know so many the guys and lassies that find that to be fun, exciting, and and sexy as well. And to have a chance to engage and have fun with these kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of like photo shoots and marketing and things like that. That's kind of part of what we're looking at, almost as if we were marketing Amicus in a kind of retro way as well. And as you can see from the Kickstarter as well. That magazine from 1973. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess you could say that we're slightly role playing with the management of this project and everything about it, from the films to the marketing and everything.
Yeah, horror fans will love that though. That ties in with. Yeah, they are, especially like cosplayers as well, who that's a big side of the horror community and fandom. And when I go to conventions or events, and it's jam packed full of people who just love the idea of dressing up and creating a character.
You go to any fan group for Hammer, for example, and all you'll see is a sea of photos. Now, many of them will be Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, but there'll be many Madeline Smiths and Carol Monroes and all that. The women of Hammer and of Amicus had a very special role to play. They personified the supernatural, the beautiful, the sensual. These are aspects that are at the root of romanticism in art, and that is what gave birth to Gothic and the Gothic tradition. So we look forward to putting women in the forefront, behind and in front as well. For example, my partner with Hex and with Amicus is Sarah Daly, as well, a producer like myself with over 10 years of experience. And Megan Tremethick is handling the marketing as well, coming up with all the ideas for the photo shoots. Like, she's a massive fan of Ingrid Pitt, so she's come up with the idea to do a vampiric homage to Ingrid Pitt, with a costume similar to what she wore in the House That Dripped Blood segment. It's like, great. It's great to see a young woman that's interested in doing that. Let's help her.
For sure.
Yep. So let's go back to the top. What's to buy after you pledged? So this has got 6 days left to go. And then what happens after that? Round 2 starts.
Then I get, heart surgery probably. Well, after that, we'll make a decision whether or not, based on the stretch goals and how we've done, whether a mini stretch campaign is necessary to help us reach over the line. But that would be a small affair. Development of the film would be going ahead, absolutely, under any case, and we'd be looking to start shooting it in the first and second quarter and of next year. And also other Amicus projects we're looking at exploring the development of, ones that are more in the vein of And Now the Screaming Stars. Our vision is to make one portmanteau every year, and we're hoping,
awesome.
And we're also hoping to do maybe another 1 or 2 of the other types of films, more location contained, not absurdly extravagant. Like, these will always be independent films, just like Amicus films were. It's not going to be a project that's in 2 years of development that has a budget on paper that says $1 million and a couple of celebrities in it. And that's not the purpose of this enterprise. The purpose is to create horror stories, not to sit and wait 2 years so producers can get fat fees and we have a few celebrities for variety press release, So if we're doing 2 to 3 films a year, with the portmanteau being our flagship film, then that would be amazing. But what the infrastructure will help us to do is to do that more efficiently, more affordably, and more sustainably. Next year, there will also be additional campaigns, fundraisers. Some of it might not be on the public level. Some of it might be on behind the scenes, to try and help us get the kind of finances together to help refurbish buildings as well. It's one thing to get them, but there's more things that need to be done to make plumbing work and everything like that. And I want folks working with us at every level, including the grassroots level, to be a part of that story. I also want them to, even if they can, get an opportunity to come and visit and put on a set of dungarees and get involved if they want, to build with their own hands the horror studio they always wished could exist and that they could be a part of. You know, that's the difference. I've not seen that before in independent, even in independent film, to try and build something like this that is actually inviting people from Britain and around the world to get involved.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the only thing I can kind of think of is kind of trauma, I guess, and that kind of but that's a very, very different approach.
No, actually,
in some ways it's similar. In some ways it's similar, isn't it? I guess, yeah.
I'm not
the output's
granted.
Yeah.
On my old YouTube channel for Hex, I've got a 2-hour interview with Lloyd Kaufman. And I'd consider him a friend, and he's certainly an ally as well. And what he accomplished, certainly in a much more controversial art field, is all the more remarkable. You know, reflected in the kind of passionate following that company has. And for us, it's a great model as well. Although it's not consciously our plan. It is, you're right, the only one I could think of similar. And what better one to take it, to take some lessons from than, Uncle Lloyd.
I guess I'm kind of comparing the output, but in terms of the structure and getting, and I had a conversation with Lloyd Kaufman once for quite a long time, and he was really open and about encouraging young people to come and join me and get involved and help me make these things, and they would be like out on their feet while doing these things. And it's a kind of some of that is like you say, a great model, isn't it?
I mean, as a producer, I know how it is in the normal industry. One of my earlier most successful gigs was packaging finance of about $8 million for a film in LA that had Malcolm McDowell in it. And I got a fat paycheck from that as one of the producers of this gig. But my experiences in that field I found to be so, I don't know, if you guys were there, you would have probably thought that's a cutthroat business.
Right.
If you're going to succeed in that, you're going to become someone you might not like. So what I ended up doing was I took my paycheck and what I derived from my earlier successes as a freelance producer, effectively, to finance and develop Hex out of a blue-collar town, Kirkcaldy in Scotland, known for linoleum. And, and your money could go further in Kirkcaldy than it could in LA, and help to develop, for me and Sarah, Hex. And our vision for Amicus is kind of an evolution of the aspirations that developed Hex, but also the lessons learned. And one thing about the film industry and producers is, when it comes to money for films, they like to create a sense of mystique about the finance, about the real finance, and to give themselves the impression of such an elevated position that it's impossible to make something like them, at least if you're doing it the proper way. But what I know from working on films with those budgets and of independent film, where the cash budgets is far less, is that the real difference is just how much the producer's getting paid, rather than most of the most of the crew. And maybe the names being an exception. So it's a world of bullshit that I'm glad not to be a part of, but it's also hypocrisy that I like to challenge. And if Amicus can also be, and Hex as well, a disruptive force against those who would try to create psychological barriers that prevent aspiring artists, aspirational filmmakers from making their things, or doing it the way they say, which is to be servants or servile to their interests and their way of doing things, then we'd like to challenge that. We want to be a force for good that enables folks to get involved with filmmaking, even if it's, seems like a mysterious other universe. Because it's not really.
Nice. Okay. I'll take one last question from the chat.
Oh, great.
And then, what has been the biggest obstacles to overcome getting this campaign off the ground?
Oh, man. Yeah, get me started.
You need a forklift.
Yeah, I'd say, at the moment, the biggest challenge, I'm just like literally, I was just refreshing the campaign there, is getting the word out. You know, we are in a crowded marketplace. Even something like Amicus, you know, you never really know like how well it could do. You could easily assume it would do better than you would think, you know, or you could think, geez, maybe there's no fans left for this kind of these. Also, we don't have all the resources that, let's say, a more corporate attempt at using Kickstarter would have. And if that's a surprise to folks, unfortunately, newsflash, any campaign in the six-figure range has always got, you know, a team behind it. You know, they'll plead and preach, but it's been written by some of the best in advertising. This more incompetent attempt with me and the guys is definitely a blessing that's done as well as it has. But I'd say at the moment, the biggest challenge being in the last week is keeping the momentum up. And because all your best ideas, you know, you've used those in the first 2 weeks, right? You know, like, here's the video, here's the cool stuff. You know, but by week 3, you're like, here's an Amicus fridge magnet. Here's
the enamel badges are excellent, though. I'd recommend people need to get themselves some enamel badges, some baseball caps, some polo shirts.
I'd say, like, anyone watching right now, if they even consider a pledge, not even for a reward if they want, even like £1, it helps the algorithm as well on Kickstarter. It pushes things up.
Okay.
You know, I've tried to kind of make this point to folks that what we can have with Amicus and its return is much more than even just the film, but though that is quintessentially why we're here. It's something that can change and transform the landscape of independent film and horror films in Britain. It's an investment in themselves. I'm investing in this, you know, like, it's not me that's getting the money in this, you know, it will be going towards something more important than me. It will be creating something beautiful. That's how I see it. But getting the word out is tough. A good friend of mine's just launched a campaign as well, Ashen's as well.
We were just talking about that before. I've gone for the VHS option on there because awesome guy, and I'll send it to Gareth.
Oh, thank you.
Well, he has one of our producers on this film as well.
Really?
And he's just been he has supported us since, and I didn't even realize he was, from like virtually, I think the very first Kickstarter I did for Lord of Tears 12 years ago. You know, about 4 weeks away from running out of any money for rent, I gave Kickstarter a punt, not knowing how it worked, you know, for Lord of Tears, and it changed my life, you know, and my career and everything like that. But yeah, he was there from the beginning, you know, pledging for a Blu-ray. And I didn't know who he was until eventually.
What a great channel! What a great channel! And he's only got the 3 million people or so. I really feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, I know. He like crushed our campaign in like 24 hours, probably, right?
Yeah. I got the email through this morning. Like, we did it, guys.
Bastard!
Must be some overflow.
Well, I mean, he's already helping us, and he's actually been amazing. Like tweeting about our campaign as well. Yeah, I just pledged for his campaign as well today. Though he's, in my opinion, I mean, we're not married. I don't know him that well, but I think he's a good man, and you can kind of tell that about an artist when their heart's in the right place. They're making something. So I wish him the very best success, and I'd like to see people like him, and obviously folks at the starts of their careers get successful. If Amicus can help that, you know, give folks opportunities with our projects. And that's one reason to keep the budget so variable, because, you know, if you want to give new people a chance, like, then you can't afford to spend too much money, you know. But like, it's better to see what ideas they can come up with, you know, especially if you've got experience that can help them come up with ways of doing them, you know. That's kind of touching on the whole Tigon thing in a way. But as their films were even more low budget than Amicus, but their ideas were wilder in many respects, you know.
True.
Right. Well,
this is an amazing 15 minutes, Gareth.
Yeah, I
think
He said 15 minutes he'd be on for.
I can't believe it. We're so lucky. I'm like
Yeah.
blown away. I was like, Gareth was like, we might get him if we're lucky for 15 minutes. So yeah, thank you so much, Laurie. Wow.
Hey, it's my absolute pleasure, chaps, and thanks for having me on. Again, apologies for being late, but thank you so much.
It's been very much worth having you here, and Megan in the chat.
Yeah, and everybody watching, thank you.
Yeah, so everyone, the link is in the description, it's in the chat, it's on the social media, it's on the community page, it's on everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Wherever
Wherever
it is, click on it.
Down there. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll leave it for tonight because it's Friday the 13th already, so
oh my word. Thank you for spending Friday the 13th with us, Laurie.
Every day is like Friday the 13th for me. Oh!
Just a naturally spooky guy.
So yes, as Horrorcat does says.
Thanks, Horrorcat.
All right,
he's a legend. People need to check out his channel too.
Oh yeah, Nossa shared out. Niles, Laurie is
special. Thanks.
So yes,
that's
everyone,
really cool. Thanks to the listeners.
Well, he is American, so well. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for Laurie. Thanks for Matt for joining me. And
no, thank you,
next
Gareth.
time.